Okay, we are live. Good to see everybody. Another live unboxing. We have the GPD Duo, and that, of course, is a dual screen laptop. Excuse me. So I didn't know if I was going to do it today because I wasn't expecting this to come in. I was expecting it to come in next week, but it came in early. Now, this, of course, is a little bit of a niche device, and I don't think I've ever been more excited about a laptop in a very, very long time. And the reason being, this thing pretty much has everything under the kitchen sink. It's a dual screen OLED, dual OLED, 13.3-inch displays. It has so many features, so many ports. It's just a pretty much of a jack of all trades kind of device. Now, I did remember this. This is the Win Max 2 that I did, the 2024 version. And they're updating this actually with the Ryzen AI processor, which is what we have in here. So the Ryzen AI 9 370HX from AMD, and this one is going to be updated to that. But I've been using this pretty much daily as far as using a mini laptop. It also, of course, is a mini handheld for gaming and stuff. Love the gunmetal design. Love the fact that it has Oculink, all the ports. I mean, this thing is pretty much been awesome. So this one is a little bit different. This, of course, is a dual screen laptop. Now we do have the Asus ZenBook Duo. I actually have one here. We have the Lenovo Yoga Yoga Book 9i, the dual screen one, and of course we have the X1 Fold from Lenovo. So there are some of these dual screen foldable type devices. This one is the most unique though. And let's get into the specs while we say hello to everybody. I think we have about 40 of you, but we'll say hello to a few people in a little bit. But let's just get right to the specs here. And this is going to be a pretty interesting one. Again, I'm very excited about this one. So dual 13.3 OLED touchscreens, 2880 by 1800 on each of them. They're 500 nits. Now, here's the one thing. I would have liked to have seen 120 hertz, but they're 60 hertz. Basically, what you're going to get on the Yoga Book 9i, the 60 hertz dual OLED. This is the AMD Ryzen 9 AI HX 370, and it has the Radeon 890M graphics. So I'm looking forward to testing it out. As far as an integrated solution, we know it's very good. You can get this with up to 64 gigabytes of memory. I have this one with 32, and I bought this one. We'll talk about that in a moment. You could also get this with up to a staggering 8 terabytes of storage. I went with the 1 terabyte. I'm going to plan on updating it myself or upgrading it myself to one of the fast SSDs from Samsung. It's got an 80 watt-hour battery that supports fast charging and all that stuff. And then, of course, we get 2.5 gigabits Ethernet, right? Wi-Fi 6E, not Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 5.3. Now, if we move right along here, we also get, let's talk about weight here, because it's not going to be the lightest thing in the world. We're looking at, let me move that all over. Oh, let me go back. Of course, I always do the same thing. We're looking at 4.85 pounds. So it's pretty heavy, but considering you're getting 2 screens, all the ports, all that stuff, and some pretty unique features we'll get into, 2.2 kilograms. Now, you're looking at a 2.5K wide-angle camera and fingerprint unlock with the power button, and you get DTS-X dual speakers, and it comes in black. There are the ports. We're going to go over that in a moment. The idea is incredible here. It is a little pricey. So it's on the Indigo, starting at, I think the one that I have here is 1743, but you can get it with the Ryzen 7 8840U, so last year's processor, and save a little bit of money. You can go over to the Indiegogo campaign. Now, you could also do what I did and spend a little bit more money, and I'll tell you why. I went over to Amazon here, and this is what I spent. I did spend over $2,000. You might call me crazy, but I wanted the ability to return it without any issues in case there's a problem, or, you know, it's a lot of money to spend. So I wanted to go that route and also get it sooner. So it turned out to be the right choice because it did come in about a week earlier than expected. So this is the one. Oh, this is the one that says Ryzen 7780, but I have the one with the Ryzen AI processor. It's this one, 2127, and I did get 10% off when I did order it, so for those wondering. Now, the other thing about this, and we move it along here, here you can see a little bit of a one-sheeter here, 80 watt-hour battery, as we talked about, the Ryzen AI. You could connect to the Oculink port it has now. You could also connect to the top display, can be used as a secondary monitor. And this idea is incredible to me because I can take my handheld, say a Legion Go or, a Steam Deck or something else and use it as a secondary monitor. I don't have to bring a secondary display with me. That's another big win. You don't need a portable monitor with this. That's the other thing that I like about it. And the dual screens. All right, so let's take this off. We're going to get into the specs and all that in a moment as we actually get into everything. So that is the specs. Let's say hello to a few people. We're going to get it out of the box in just a moment. Good to see William here. Do me a favor. Let's hit that thumbs up. And there is a new thing on YouTube where if we hit 5 super chats or whatever, I will have to give away something or do something. I don't know. I have to figure all that out. It's some kind of new feature here. But if you want to give a super chat, super sticker to help support the channel. Anyway, I don't want to get too much into that. Watching it now on the screen is beautiful. And the screen is beautiful. So you have it, BG? I don't know if I caught if you had it. If you do, great. Love the idea. I love this idea. And that's why I've never been this excited about a device in a very long time. It takes this kind of device to get me excited at this point. Like 4 cans of beer in the backpack, I could live with that. All right, how does it all fit inside such a small footprint? We're going to find out. I don't know. I'm just as curious as you are. All right, so we have about 40 of you. I'm not expecting a big turnout. This is a niche device, but just a pretty interesting device. Anyway, without further ado, you know the drill, folks. Let's get this out of the box. And before we do that, Tech Tony with the first super chat to get things rolling. I appreciate that. All right, let's get it out of the box. See, looks like it's already been cut open, so we'll see. All right, so I don't need to cut anything. So, okay, so this is from, I think I know these people, this Droy X. I've spoken to them before. So they're thanking me here. We understand that this is a state-of-the-art devices. You may have questions, blah, blah, blah. So they have a channel. I saw that they did a review on this as well. I think they sell these as well. Apparently they do. So give a shout out to Droy X for those that are wondering. So there you go. And then here is the unit itself. And wow, this thing is pretty heavy. Listen, this is pretty heavy, I got to say. Wow, that is pretty heavy. So again, 2 screens, pretty much everything under the kitchen sink. We get some documentation. I got to say the packaging is very nice. Let's see here. Another super chat from Rafael Perez. So we got 2 out of the 5 we need. All right. So GPD Duo. And it's in multiple languages. And let's get a look at this. So yeah, it's in English, Chinese, I guess. Different languages, yeah. So I'm going to have to study this at some point, probably not. You know I'm never going to look at that. I'm just going to try to figure it out on my own and, of course, make mistakes, but whatever. All right, so that's the paperwork here. And let's put that over there. All right, so we get a 100-watt power charger, I believe. So let's see here. So this is 100 watts, and it uses USB Type-C, right? So let's put that over there. And then we get a USB Type-C cable, right? So that is pretty much it. It does have pen support. I probably have a pen here that works with that. I didn't order one from GPD, for those wondering, and I think that's it. So let's move this off the table. All right, and this is the device itself, and let's take a look at this. I can't get over how heavy this thing is, but I was expecting it to be pretty heavy. But, you never know until you get it in hand. And, wow, this thing, yeah, we're going to weigh it, but it's pretty heavy. So, all right, so this is all metal. This is like this rubberized kind of material. This is metal here. And let me see the bottom. I don't know if this is metal or plastic. But the build quality is just like the one I have over here with the WinMax. It looks pretty good. I'm just really marveling at the engineering here. I mean, this thing is really solid. Now, this is the back, I guess. Trying to figure out where to open this thing. Okay, so we open it. So we open it here and bring it around here. And wow, so this is it with the screen down. So if we bring this up like that, we have the secondary display, and it's about to tip over. Wow. So there is a kickstand, right? So I saw that there is a kickstand here. So the kickstand comes out to give it a little bit more support. But from what I understand, it depends on the angle. You don't necessarily need that because it'll stay, but I don't feel too comfortable. Until I get used to this, let me put the kickstand out. So this is what it looks like. And let me see if this one, yeah, you can see the back there. This is what it looks like. And this is pretty interesting. So you have a few options with this, right? So we have, so I guess we can put it back like this. Let's put the kickstand down. You can put it back so whoever's facing you will see it like that. You can use it like that. And then use it like a regular laptop, right? Keyboard feels good, by the way. I think this is a haptic touchpad. So the keyboard feels good. Actually, the build is really, really nice. Now, with it down like this, I can use it as a tablet and maybe use it with a pen. So I don't know which pen is going to work with that, but we'll figure it out. I have a few pens here. I'm sure one of them will work, hopefully. Heavy tablet, but maybe if you want to sketch out something on the desk or table, it is definitely doable. So we'll figure that out. So BG had to replace the hard drive. That's interesting. What was wrong with the hard drive? Was it faulty? All right, so, okay, it is a crazy design. I mean, this thing is nuts. This thing is insane, folks. I love it. I love this idea. All right, and it is heavy, but you're getting dual monitors. So that is one way to use it. Now, the other way is you don't need to turn this on. You can use this one up here as a secondary display for decks or whatever, for a gaming handheld, or just as a secondary monitor. And there should be I think there's a port right there. So we'll talk about that. Speaking of ports, let's go over the ports and then we'll get a measurement of the weight. All right, so let's get a look at it here. All right, so you get your full-size SD card reader, USB 4.0, USB-C, and I have a chart, by the way, of all the ports. We'll get into that in a moment. Next to this, I don't know what's here, if there's something underneath there, if that opens or something, I don't know. But I know it has Oculink. On the back, you do get your Oculink port, and there it goes right there. And then you get an HDMI. So 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. This thing is crazy. On this side, power button, okay? 2 USB-A ports, pretty much has every port under the sun. Yeah, I mean, this thing is nuts. Now, on the top display, you get looks like a volume rocker up and down, and you also get a USB-C port that will allow you to connect this as an external monitor to another device. So, pretty freaking impressive. It's just a crazy freaking device. And we got to boot this thing up, but let's close it up like it's supposed to be. And then let's get a measurement of the weight. So let me bring out the scale. We have 2 super chats. One, the last one from Raphael for the one and only Andrew. I appreciate that. All right, so let me turn this on. It's a big boy. It is pretty it's a freak of a laptop, and I love it. Oh my God. You got to give GPD credit, by the way. By the way, I bought this. If you're joining me late, I've spent my money on this, and I'm kind of liking it, to be honest with you. All right, so just let me move that centered there, make sure it's on 0. All right, kilograms, here we go. So just the unit alone, 2.265 kilograms, and that is a whopping 4 pounds, 15.9 ounces. That's pretty big. Yeah, it's good for programmers, for developers, for engineers. I can see them. Yes, there is an SD card reader, William. I showed it. It is a full-size SD card reader. All right, now let's put it back into kilograms. and with the 100-watt charger and the power cord, a travel weight of 2.509 kilograms, and that would be 5 pounds, 8.5 ounces. This thing is a honking beast, but it has pretty much every port an engineer, coder, or whatever you might need, it'll have it. That is the weight. Now, I've never, honestly, let's for a second, put it on me for a second. I'm so excited about this. Now, let's take a look at the keyboard real quick. Let me turn that off. Okay, let's take a look at the keyboard real quick. Feels good. Let's get a listen to the keyboard. All right, keyboard feels good. And the build here is really good. So this should be a haptic touchpad from what I understand. There's no moving parts. If nothing else, it can make a good paperweight. You're not kidding, William. This thing is crazy. This is insane, this laptop. All right, so why don't we boot it up? Because who knows what updates have to come in. And by the way, this is without the kickstand. But I'm a little bit nervous, but yeah, it seems pretty sturdy. This is without the kickstand. Wow. All right, so let's turn it on. And the power button is on the right side there. And I hear something happening. Hopefully the hard disk, the SSD is good. Let me put out the kickstand just to make sure it doesn't tip over or anything. But it seems pretty sturdy though. There it goes. So you can put it out like that and it just gives you a little bit more support. Yeah, this thing is absolutely nuts. Now it is 2.8K, two of them displays. OLED, 13.3 inches. It's very similar in terms of the size and specs that we got with that Yoga Book 9i as far as the displays. And it is a pretty glossy display here. You can probably see the side there. Oh, yeah. Never seen Andrew so excited. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. But of course, we're going to have to set this thing up. So let me, this thing is just crazy. Now, let me see if I have a pen that works. So this is my HP Tilt pen, okay? Let's see if this works. This usually works with everything for some reason. So let's, all right, we want English. Yeah, this works. This works. So we're doing English and United States. Yeah, so my pen works here. That's good news. Is this keyboard layout? Yes. US, skip. So we're going to have to go through the setup of this crazy laptop. All right, so I'm going to put it on me for a second as I put in my... I love this thing. I don't know. This is just nuts. I mean, the rational side of me shouldn't like this. This should go against everything I stand for with lightness. And, this is the anti-X1 Carbon. I should not like this, but this is so freaking crazy, this laptop, that I'm actually super excited about this. And again, it takes a lot for me after all these years. Watching you handle this screen wobble appears not bad. No, and I think this kickstand really gives a good support. Very creative. This is a good thing. Headcrab, I like companies that do this. And by the way, I reached out to GPD a number of times to try to get a review unit. Never got a response. I did okay with the other videos I did on their products. I bought them, but no response. So, it's one of those niche products, niche companies, I guess. As I get more views on these, I'm sure at some point they'll reach out. I spent my own money on this, but, it's one of those things where I just couldn't help myself. Again, it goes against every grain inside of me as to this being a rational type of purchase for somebody like me, because I like thin and light. I like all that. But I got to tell you, I can see me using this at CES and not bring anything else, just this. It's just freaking nuts. So we'll see. We'll see how this is all going to play out. Yeah, 906 grams versus 5 pounds or whatever the freak this thing is as it's booting up here. So comes with that 100-watt charger we looked at. So it does, it'll supply it pretty good juice. And again, we can use this top monitor as a secondary display for something else. And this doesn't even have to be on. Now, here's where the performance is going to be good on this, because we've seen the AMD Ryzen AI 9 HX370, We know this has excellent graphics, the Radeon 890, so 890M. So I think this is really going to be a pretty good one. Let me skip giving you a name for now. As we go, I'm going to have to go through initial setup. There may be some updates that may slow us down, but I'm going to have to go through it because I wanted to do the unboxing. That's the way it is, I guess, with the way Windows is now. So checking for updates. So this may be a while. So who knows? I do have we can show you the difference between this and the Asus ZenBook Duo, which I have here. I have and there it is. There's the updates right there. So maybe we'll bring that out and see it. I love this thing. It's looking pretty good. Let's see what this person has to say. So thank you, Andrew. I bought the VivoBook S14 for $650. The only downside is really the fingerprints. You mean the fingerprints that it attracts? Yeah, it's that neutral black, right? So I think that's one of the best value propositions of the year. Let me plug this into my dock here. Let me see if everything's working. So let's go there. And let's see how this is going to work, because when it has multiple displays, let me just put it onto that input number 6 here on my dock to see. Yeah, so it's showing okay, I'm going to have to play with the settings. It's showing the top one here, but it's not. I'll have to play with the settings once it's all booted up. It's 2 a.m. my time, but I have to watch this. All right, Tech Tony. Where are you from? In Europe? Yeah, I couldn't do it any earlier because I was waiting for this to come in, and it just arrived. In fact, I wasn't supposed to get this until next week. So we'll see. We'll see how this is all going to play out. Now, like I said, you could put this in tablet mode. You can put it into the presentation mode where this top one is on the other side. And then, of course, you can use it like this, which is just nuts. This thing is just freaking nuts. So it is pretty interesting, I got to say. And there you can see back of it. Build quality is really rock solid. Again, it is like I said, this is a niche device, so it is definitely expensive, but I don't know anybody who's made anything like this. Now, we do have a few other ones. Like, what do I have here? So this is the X1 Fold, right? So we looked at this 16-inch X1 Fold, but this is also pretty heavy. But here's the thing, though. With this one, I have to bring the keyboard with me separately. And although I love having the 16-inch screen here, this OLED screen, I then have to take out the what do you call it? The keyboard, and then the stand. And the same thing with the Yoga Book 9i. And I like it, by the way. So, and this thing is actually pretty nice. I've been using it lately. And one of the things I love about this, I love this keyboard. This is a haptic touchpad done by Sensel, if I'm not mistaken. And I got to tell you, this thing has been pretty awesome. This thing has been pretty awesome here. So I got to turn down the brightness. It's so bright. And you can see it there. So this is the X1 Fold. And I have a few others we can bring out as we move along here on this live stream. Again, I'm not expecting a big turnout because it is a very niche device. I understand that. But again, something like this gives you 2 displays, or this one is a foldable, this one is the dual screen. And again, you can go with something like the Asus Duo that I have here as well, or the Yoga Book 9i. So you can see the differences. And the reason I'm bringing this out right now is because it's going through the setup process and it's downloading the update. It could take a little bit of time. So let's take some of your comments and questions. Love companies like this. They think of something and say, F it, let's make it. And by the way, Lenovo's like that as well. And I got to give them kudos for that. Not all these companies are that willing to do these kind of things, right? So this thing is just freaking amazing. All right. 9 a.m. for you in Thailand. Okay, so that's not a bad time for you. England, it's not a great time. So I do appreciate you showing up. All right, so we're waiting for that. Now, let me go get some of the others out here just to see, and I'll be right back. While this is booting up and doing all that stuff, I'll get some of the other 2-in-1 or dual screen laptops. All right, so while this is booting up, we can look at some of the others we have here. So that was the X1 Fold, right? So the other one that I want to show you, I'll put this to the side for the moment. This is the Yoga Book 9i. And the one issue I have with this, it has the same kind of two dual screen OLED displays, 60 hertz. But this one, also, you have to use this keyboard, right? So this origami style. And I don't love it. I mean, it's okay. But now that I have something like this or the Asus, as we'll look at in a moment, that one would be better. So this one has some pretty gorgeous displays as well. So I don't have room on this freaking table here. So we have the X1 Fold, we have the Yoga Book 9i, and we have this booting up for the first time, which is the GPD Duo. Comes with this mouse here, so you can use the mouse on this one. And yeah, it's good. I love this. This is one of the first ones out of the gate. So was that one. Now I also have this one, and let me get its pen. Is right here. This is the Asus Pen 2.0. So this is the ZenBook Duo. Now, I didn't do an actual video on it. I do have one ready to go as I'm going to have on all these dual screen laptops. What I like about this one, if we're running out of room here, let me just clean that. This has a detachable keyboard. Okay, so let me put this one back there. Yeah, we can put that there. And then I can bring this one here. So this one has a detachable keyboard that I absolutely love. And what I like about this one, and very similar to this, is that this one has a kickstand built in. So I can do it like this, and then this just attaches, and it also uses via Bluetooth as well. So I have a few options with this one. And then I have the pen. I don't remember if the pen sticks anywhere. It might, I don't remember. But anyway, it comes with the pen, and you can get this one on Amazon also. So it's a pretty interesting configuration as well. Dual screen, and then again, you could use this as a regular laptop. I don't know if it has juice in it, but you can use it as a regular laptop. And I've loved it. You know, I've been using it, and it's really good as well. So let me see if this pen works over here. Yeah, so this pen will work as well. So they're using the same technology. So this is the Asus Duo. Now, I don't have any official information or nothing to confirm, but I wouldn't be surprised. Hold on. I wouldn't be surprised if we get an update to this. Hint, hint. Remember, I met with Asus. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say. So very nice. I like what the Duo did here. So this is running the Meteor Lake, right? So this is out almost a year already. And I've been using this. Now, there is one with the 120 hertz displays. This one, I think, is the Full HD Plus 60 hertz. And they're fine. These are OLED. And again, you go like this, and you've probably seen videos on it and so forth. And you can use it in dual screen. Although I think I have it set up in the wrong. I think I was putting it with a monitor earlier. But anyway, this is a dual screen laptop. But we'll talk about that. Let me see if I don't have the right settings or it needs to be updated. I don't know. But anyway, we're not here for that really. I just wanted to show you some of the different ones that you can do on this. And we'll talk about it later if we have some time. So that is that. I actually like this pen. Maybe we'll use it also as well as this one on this one. So that is that. So those are some of the different ones that you can get. So it's a pretty interesting segment, and I do like where they're going, and I would recommend it if you are in the market for these type of devices to look at some of these, as I mentioned. So that's pretty good. And then again, this Fold is really good. This one is a little, don't underestimate this one. This one's pretty good. And I like you just fold this one up, put it like that, boom, you're ready to go. So those are some of the devices. Oh, a lot of work. All right, so let's get back to this one. It's about 43% installing that. So let's take your comments and questions. Let me see if I missed. I just uploaded a new video, so I was awake, and I was watching some of your old videos, and the alert popped up. All right, Tech Tony. Love companies like this. They think something right, and they make it, and that's a pretty good thing. So for the X1 Fold, what is the screen size when open? Looks like 16 inches. Yes, that is 16 inches. unfolded. When it is folded, I don't know. It's like an 8-inch or 10-inch or something like that. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a really gorgeous display on that one. So we're waiting for this to boot up. This is one of the reasons I stopped doing a lot of these live unboxings with the Windows stuff because of this. You just got to wait till these updates come through. So I don't know what that is, but anyway, the screen looks nice, at least this one. Again, they're going to be identical displays to each other. So pretty freaking good. And for those there, you want to see the back, there it is. I got to say, hand it to GPD. They made something pretty interesting so far. This is looking pretty good. All right. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, but it's quiet today. It is a kind of a niche device. And Platin Aviation likes the intro song. A lot of people have been saying that lately. That's good. You like my intro song. I think it's by Gloria Tells. I think it's called For the Girl or something. Anyway, that's what it is. How is the keyboard backlight? I haven't noticed it yet, so let me see. So there is a backlight here. If I do function. Yeah, so it's on right now. Let me see if we can see it from here. Looks like it has maybe 1 or 2 levels. It's lit up there. I'm going to have to dim the studio lights to see, but we'll take a look at that. So the keyboard backlight looks okay. We'll have to see, though. Remember, I have a lot of studio lights, so it's going to be hard to tell just on this initial look at it. And this is just really crazy. You can just fold it back like that, and then you have you put the keyboard down like that, the kickstand, and then you can have dual display, so you can actually give a presentation and the people that are in front of you get to see that. Just a little, yeah, it's hard. I do have a lot of studio lights in all fairness. So it's about 81% so far, so almost there. We have 59 of you watching. Do me a favor, hit that like button. Let's get this spread out over YouTube. We have got so far, as far as this live chat thing, or the super chat thing, I think we have 2 out of the 5 we need. So if we can do 3 more, then I don't know. Do we win a prize or something? There's some new feature on YouTube. I don't know. Maybe I'll do something special, do like a giveaway or something. The dual screen would be good for me as a coder. And I think you're like the target audience because it's said for engineers and stuff like that. Makes sense. The top of it can be used for web research while coding on the lower. Makes sense, right? And what I like about this is that you can use this as a desktop replacement because not only does it have great ports, it also has Oculink. So if you want to connect to an external GPU, you have that option here. You also have USB 4.0. Again, another way to connect to an eGPU. I remember a while back you did a review of the HP Spectre dual screen model. I remember it at a list price of $5,000. It did not go very far. And in all fairness, William, HP said they did not expect to sell a lot of that. That was more of like a proof in concept, but they wanted to get it out. And by the way, as of all the foldables, that was probably the best executed, but of course it was very expensive. I didn't want to give that one back. I don't know if you remember that, but they kept asking me and I had to give it back. So yeah, $5,000. And from what I understand, Best Buy sold out on them. So say, I don't know how many they got, not many apparently, but they sold out. I don't think there's any more to be had. Pretty interesting device to say the least. So nice for a virtual pinball game. Yeah, it's also very expensive head crap for a virtual pinball game. All right, so hopefully this will come through. Boom, boom, boom. We're waiting. The screen is looking good so far as brightness, but again, I want to get this fully booted up. But one of the things, again, like I said, it's the weight that really is like, it is a heavy, but you are getting 2 displays. So if you're traveling, the way I'm looking at this, I don't need to take sometimes I'll take a portable monitor with me. I don't need to do that. You have 2 displays on here. You've got every freaking port known to man pretty much that you need. Full-size SD card reader, Oculink, USB 4, USB Type-C, USB Type-A, headphone jack. I'm probably missing some. You even have a secondary monitor here. that you can use it for, and we'll test that out. Yeah, hit the like. Yeah, do me a favor, people, hit that like button. We have 35 likes, and we have 75 of you watching. So do me a favor, hit that like button. All right, so it's looking like it's doing something here. We may be making progress. Put these over there. So it's updating. Now, I don't think it's Windows Hello as far as the camera, but it is a 2.5K camera according to their specs. Now, there's a new Windows update to 2242. It's probably doing that. Yeah, I'm thinking that's what it's doing. And I have no way of not doing it. That's, I don't know if there's a way to boot this up without going through that. That was one of the reasons why I stopped doing a lot of these live unboxings, because it just took too freaking long. All right, hopefully we're almost there. This thing is freaking weird. It's like weird, but in a great way. It's just so crazy, it's good. All right, so it's booting up GPD. And let's see. Updates underway. You got to love Windows, right? So let me take these off the... Okay, clears the space. Any idea when Windows 12 will be released? I have no idea. Anybody know? Any rumors? I haven't heard anything yet. All right, so this is putting those updates in. Hopefully it's almost done. I know this could be a little bit boring, but what a crazy device, right? What a crazy device here. This is just nuts. And I don't even know if you need that kickstand. I think it depends on how far you go back. But if like this, I think it's okay. But I think with the kickstand, it gives them more stability. Yeah, it definitely gives them more stability. All right, so now I got to sign in. So let me put it on me for a second. Sign into my account. Almost there, folks. Keyboard's pretty good. A little bit shallow. It's almost like a MacBook keyboard. But not bad. Not bad. All right. So it's logging me into my Microsoft account. Okay, so I can do the fingerprint scanner. So I could set that up. Let me see here. So let's set it up. And it's this on the right here. So it's this button right there. And yeah, it's like any other fingerprint scanner on a power button. You just got to move it around. Actually, it was pretty good. Sometimes you have to do it a few times, different angles. All right, so that's pretty good. Let me set up a pin. It's gonna ask me for a pin. Let me set that up. I tell you, I haven't been so excited about a laptop in a long time, and this is one of them. Windows 12, July to October 2025. Thank you, Tech Tony. So we'll see. Multiple screens would be so much more useful if Windows had independent virtual desktops like Mac OS, not switching all desktops all the time at the same time. Yeah. Now, according to William, without the kickstand, if you hit the top monitor, actually the unit looks like yeah, that's why I'm a little bit careful. I don't want to tip it over. So let me accept that. Yeah, I don't want to. I mean, look, I just spent a lot of money on this. I don't want to break it. So, but from the videos, I did see the few videos that some people did. Yeah, didn't look too bad. So I'm going to set up as a new PC. All right. About time. This is the one thing I don't like about Windows is this initial setup. With Mac, it's a much faster process. I mean, look at this shit. All this crap. Connect your phone, do this, do that. Skip that. Not now. I mean, the whole thing is just ridiculous. And then Microsoft 365 and this shit and that. And it gets tiresome after a while doing every laptop. And I have multiple laptops coming in all the time. All right, there we are. And let me see what wallpaper it came with originally. So I don't know why it keeps going to this one that moves the different wallpapers. Yeah, it puts it on that Windows Spotlight. Let me go to solid. No, solid picture. And I don't know which was the original one, so I'll just pick that one. I don't know what they did. But here it is. So this is the crazy laptop here. And I think you can install Linux, Headcrab. I think people were talking about that. We'll have to investigate that. This thing is just nuts. So if I put this like this, let's see what happens. So right now it's just a single laptop mode. Okay. Now if I put it like this, oh look, it was on the back display. So now it's the tablet mode, right? And then I put it like this, dual display, and one on each side. So I can, I hate this. I have to turn off this freaking OneDrive. I have to unlink it. Okay. Hate that it automatically does that. All right, so that is that. So pretty bright displays. All right, let me put this back up here. Now, this display can be used as a secondary display, as I mentioned. All right, so now I don't even know where to start with this. All right, so let me see how bright the displays get. Yeah, they're pretty bright. Now, I don't know if they changed both of them or you have to click on one and then let me see. So let me see what it does over here. So the brightness only affects this one. How do I do that one? That's interesting. Like, how do I adjust the brightness on that one? That's the one question I do have. Is Duck Vision here? I wonder if we can play Battleship on this with someone. I guess why not, right, Duck Vision? I don't know. All right, let me download Geekbench. Let me see. Let's continue. Shit. All right. Let me go here. So what do I want to do? I want to get geekbench.com. Now, I don't know how to change the brightness on the top one. I got to look at there's so much going on here. All right, so let's download this. Now, if I want to go let me put this one up here. The touchpad is a haptic, by the way. So I've got both working, sorta. Yeah, both working here. Let me put the kickstand back out. Make sure it doesn't tip over. And is the back display always on when flipped over? I guess you can turn it off in the settings. I don't know. All right, we'll figure it all out. So let me put it on the performance mode. Let me see if there's any buttons or anything we can do here. So balanced, let me put it in. So let's put this into, so best performance. Let me turn this off. So I just don't want it to dim while we're working here. All right, so let me go here. Downloads. Okay, so that should be downloading now. Intent mode is the back. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. It does stay on intent mode, I guess. I don't know. So when it's like this, you can. And then when it's like this, yeah, I mean, is this what you mean by tent mode? I would imagine this is tent mode. And I don't know how to change the brightness of the second display. See, it only does one. I don't know how to do the other. So there must be a way to make them uniform like you can on the Lenovo, but I don't know. Let me put this downloads here. Let me just get the Geekbench done here. Now the touchpad is haptic. I'm gonna have to play with the settings a little bit, I think, on that. No moving parts. It's a little bit on the small side. That's a good haptic engine, though. Can you download HWin64 to check the temperatures of the machine? I can. Let me get through this first. Yeah, the fan's going. Okay. All right, so this is Geekbench. And we can run the Geekbench. Let me see if there's any GPD software before I do that, like where we can do everything. And here's a PDF. Let me see this, because this says this has like a PDF where we can see what's going on here. Okay, so it says product Q&A. Let me see if you can see it. So there's like, okay, so right now what you're seeing is a third display. Let me see if I can find where that is. Hold on. Okay, so if I put it there, hold on. I need to readjust the display settings. Hold on. So you can see what I'm doing. So let me identify the displays. That's number 3. So we're going to put this one over there. Let's apply that. Okay, so now I want to put this one over here. And now you can see what I've done. All right, so here's a little bit of a diagram, or a PDF rather, of this. And I guess they have some explaining things to do over here, what's going on. So let's see here. So these are some of the other devices, but where's my device? GPD Duo. Doesn't even say Duo. So what do they even give that? Screw that. I don't know. That's some crazy crap. All right. But anyway, let's run the Geekbench. Let's see what's going on here. All right. I feel like the product needs more polish. I don't know, Grish. I don't know anything about it really. So I'm trying to figure it out on the fly here. I don't know how to change the brightness on this one. So, which is interesting. And when I click on this, let's see. So that brightness only controls this one. So it should be that there's like 2 of them, like they had on the Yoga Book 9i. I don't know. So, oh, brightness to the USB-C port. So there was oh, yeah. So look at this. All right, so you can probably see it there, a little bit blurred, but there is a button on the side here. Thank you. So that affects this one. Yeah, so this one, and this is the one that is a secondary monitor, by the way, that you can use, and that's why they have a rocker here. That makes sense. Okay, thank you. That makes sense. How is the wobble top screen if you hit the table? Well, with the kickstand on, not bad at all. Without the kickstand, let's see. It wants to go down. See, oh, actually. Oh, see, it's ready to go down. You see? So you may need this kickstand at a certain angle for sure. That's why they put it there. Read the instructions. Yeah, I'm not about to. But we did figure that one out. Let me see if I have a USB-C cable here. I do have one right here. And let me see if DeX will work on that top display. I know I probably shouldn't do it while that's running, but let's see what happens with DeX. So this is my S24 Ultra. And if I plug it into that top one, I know we're running a benchmark, but we'll see what the hell happens. So I'm plugging it into that top display. Let's see if anything happens. So I did plug it in. And if I activate DeX, let's see DeX. And it doesn't see anything. So I'm not really sure how that works. Or I don't think that has to be off, right? I think that should automatically go on. Anybody know? I probably should read the instructions. I may have to bring out the instructions, but we'll see. All right, let's maybe have to reboot it or something. Let me put this to the side for now. Let's get our benchmark and then we'll move on and we'll get that figured out. It is more of a challenge if you do not read the instructions, yeah. All right, let me go get the instructions. I mean, this is one where I do have to read them, I think. Let's see. I didn't want to have to do this. I hate this. All right, so let's see here. So they couldn't make it any smaller, this typeface? They couldn't make it any smaller? Yeah, I have my own picture on it. It's from my channel. All right, so keyboard. Okay, so AMOLED secondary screen. Okay. It's just going through the ports. Okay. And by the way, here's the ports for those that want to see that. Those that are interested, just while we're waiting for this benchmark here. So let me just try to flip through here to see what I have to do. Function. So this is all Chinese. Page up, page down. Okay. I have to go to the English part. Okay, here's the English section. So that's the touchpad. Keyboard combinations. Okay, so take that off. Okay, so the keyboard combinations. To turn off the secondary screen, function and F3. To turn it on. By the way, pretty nice score, right? 2934, 1498. So function and F3 turns on and off the secondary screen. So function F3. So now it's off. Okay. So if I put in this, let's see. I want to just see what happens if I plug this in, but I don't think that should matter. Yeah. So there it says GPD. So now DeX might work. We'll see. So no, I'm not seeing DeX on there. All right. We'll have to figure that out. I'm not really sure. If I use a different laptop, so if I have my, let's see, my GPD WinMax 2. So let me turn that on. I know it has very little juice right now. So let me connect this to the USB-C port there, and let's see what happens when I plug this in. Okay. I may have to plug the GPD in. Because I know it's out of juice almost. Okay. All right, let's see if this can boot up here. I just want to see the secondary monitor. And look at that. So this one is from this one. Yeah, so it's still working on this one. But if I boot this one up, if it ever comes on anytime soon. Wow, great scores. Yeah, it is a great score, by the way. Here it is. 2394, single core, 14,898. Wow, that is really good, actually. So I don't know what's going on with my WinMax 2, so let's just leave it for now. Let's see what happens. So actually, that's interesting. When I plug that in, so now it's booting up. Hold on. Let's see what's going on here. So this is booting up. This is still connected. Now, if I go to this, let me see if display settings, and if I go to is this even sorry folks, I'm just trying to figure this all out. Let's see. I don't know how this works. We're going to have to figure that out. Anyway, I don't want to waste your time on that or my time. All right, we'll figure that out. Let me put that to the side. All right, I still have to read the instructions here. So F3, function F3, turns it on and off as far as that secondary display. Function F2 increases the brightness. Well, we already know that. And then the rest are just standard stuff. Insert key, print key. Okay. Common touchpad gestures. Okay. Touchpad options. Okay. All right. Here's what I do want to do. I want to turn this off and then connect it because it's still supposed to work without this even being on. So let me take a screenshot of what I already have here. Okay. So let me close this. Let's shut it down, and then let's see if we can connect that device without this on. I just want to see what Andrew, what's new today? What brand is this coming in late? So AR Tech Reviews, this is from GPD. It's the GPD Duo, the dual screen OLED laptop. Now this is off. This is off. So if I connect this my Samsung, let's see what happens. So nothing is happening on that. All right, let me get another laptop here. Bring out the MacBook. Let's see what happens when I connect this. Okay, let's see the MacBook here. Okay. Okay, so close all that. Using it. All right, so let's connect this. Let's see what happens when I connect it up to the MacBook, which is on right now. So now that's going on. Let's see if this does anything. No signal. I don't get it. Now it's in power saving mode. I don't know. I don't know how to get that second monitor working. It's probably something simple. No button. I don't know. I'll have to play with that. Let's move on. Let's close that. Let me turn it back on. Okay. All right. 63 of you watching this disaster. I like the product, don't get me wrong, but I want that secondary monitor working when this is not, to a secondary device, which is one of the things that they were talking about. So let me turn this back on. What's going on? Let's see. Okay. So far, I mean, it's a pretty interesting device. Why is this not going on? Now it's going on. All right. It was exciting. Started off promising. So fingerprint scanner works. Let's see if that even works. It's asking me for my PIN. All right. I don't know what to tell you. Okay. We'll see how that's going to work. All right. So is there any GPD software? There's the wind controls, theme setup and all that. But okay. We'll figure all that out. All right. So that was the Geekbench. Let me go back to the windows here. And let me go to Cinebench. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's go to Crystal Disk Mark. And let me download it. I want to see the SSD. It's a terabyte SSD. That's downloading. Also want to check out the camera. I want to check out the sound of the speakers. It's an informal tonight, so no big deal. All right, let's set that up. It's one of those devices where it's so much going on that I just got to figure it all out. All right, let's get a measurement of the speeds here. I'll get some water. Okay. The USB-C port on the secondary display only supports DisplayPort Alt mode. Does not support audio or data transfer, but supports charging and mode switching. Okay. No AI button is a good thing. Okay. So, Rafi, so what are you saying about this USB-C port, this one over here? So it's only DisplayPort Alt mode. All right, but it should charge, it should switch. I mean, when I plug something in, it should be able to show what, as a secondary monitor, right? Or is there a button I need to press? So this is a 1 terabyte, or well, at least this C drive is 300 gigabytes. What the hell? Let me go to the device manager. So how they did this is a Western Digital Blue SN580 1 terabyte. Okay. And when I go to the File Explorer, this has 2 partitions, a 300 gigabyte and a 600. Okay. So they put it to a C and a D drive. This is the C drive. How often do you have live streams? I could do once, twice a week, and I could do once a month. It just depends, Kev. There's really no set time anymore. It's just a matter of what I think is going to be important, something that we want to look at immediately. Otherwise, I'll just do a recorded video. All right, so that's getting the speeds of the reads and writes, and we'll see what's going on with that. Meanwhile, I should probably read this in depth. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on. All right. So we'll get the reads and writes. In the meantime, I probably shouldn't be doing this while I'm doing that, but let me go to Cinebench 2024. Now, one of the benefits, of course, of this being a Ryzen AI PC from AMD, obviously you don't have any of the compatibility issues or anything like that you get with Qualcomm. So you can run all your x86 apps. You could probably run Linux on this as well. So that I know a lot of you are going to want to run Linux on it. So I think you probably could on this as well. Okay. It's an interesting device, to say the least, but I'd like to get it all running the way it should be here. All right, so this is probably shouldn't have been done during that test, but whatever. Put it up here. In fact, we can probably just put it down like that, and you can see on this side. Yeah, you can see it there. It's a little blown out because of the camera, but yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, we did okay with the Black Friday, so we'll see. We'll see. What AMD processor is the Ryzen AI 9 HX 370 Radeon 890M graphics? So for those wondering. So we got great reads. Single multi-core was fantastic already on this. All right, so the reads and writes are here. And let me bring it down to this screen. And if I want to show it to you, I can put it on this screen here. There it goes. And then there it is. So 4164.75 on the reads and 4097 on the writes as far as the sequential. But look at the random. Random are really good. 845 and 715. That's really, really good on those random reads and writes. Yeah. Let me take a screenshot of that. All right. So that is the Crystal Dismark test. Let me close that window. All right. So we're going to do the Cinebench, but that's unpacking that right now. Let's, what I do want to do, let me unplug it. Well, let me keep that plugged in there. But let me go to the speakers here because I want to make sure the sound is on the speakers just to get an idea. Give it a second. I just want to get an idea of the sound of the speakers on this. So we want the... So if I go to YouTube, and let's go to Andrew, Mark, David, and let's see if I can find a video here, X1 Carbon, and let's listen.
Purple Sass! All your sass needs now in delicious purple. Tired of obsolete accounting? Purple Sass! Upgrading database? Purple Sass! This is so back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the X1 Carbon Gen 13 Aura Edition here as we round out 2024 and we head into the new year. And I got to tell you, it pretty much checks all the boxes as being but of course, Gen Source and 6 as we round out 2024 coming up. Now, before we get to the unit, I just want to let everyone...
Not bad. Not bad. I've definitely heard worse. That's pretty good, actually. What did you think? Were you able to get an idea of it? All right. Is it upgradable? Well, the SSD is upgradable. The RAM should be soldered in. I don't think the RAM is upgradable. But we'll have to delve into that. I don't think I'm going to open it up today because I'm not sure if I'm keeping this and I don't want to void the warranty because there is a sticker on the bottom that by one of the screws, I think. So we'll have to see. I'm still on the fence with this, so I'll have to see, but I'll let you know. All right. So it sounded good, right, William? I thought it sounded good. It sounds nice. Does it have Dolby Atmos? Let me see if I do Dolby. I don't know if it has Dolby Atmos. It has DTS X audio. So I don't think it has Dolby Atmos, but it does have DTS X audio, which is pretty good as well. All right. So that is the speakers on that. We're almost ready to do the Cinebench. I want to get an idea of the speeds. I mean, of the benchmarks, because we saw very good so far on that. And good to see Defensive Daggers is back. Okay. Hi, Andrew. Sebastian Christoph here. Better to buy the Asus ZenBook S14 or the Lenovo X1 Carbon Aura Edition. I only see that the Asus is much cheaper. One's a business laptop. One is a consumer laptop. So the ZenBook S14 is excellent. You can't go wrong with that. The X1 Carbon Aura Edition comes in at less than a kilogram, 2.8K OLED, just like the S14, although that one has a touch display, not the one that's offered on the X1 Carbon. It's a big price difference. So if you don't need the business features, I would recommend going with the S14. If you want the ThinkPad with the keyboard and all that, then you know the deal. They're different laptops in a sense that one is a commercial or a business-based laptop, and the other one is a consumer laptop. Hope that helps. He's already pictured himself using it in a Starbucks. I don't know about that. We'll see. It is a little bit heavy, but you are getting that secondary display. So we'll see. Lenovo Yoga 7 Aura is a better buy. I like the ThinkPads personally, but that's just me. Aura edition of that Yoga, the one we looked at, the Slim 7i Aura edition, that's great too. Now, that's not an OLED display, but you do get some great battery life on that. Absolutely. It will just slide back and shatter. So, you mean this? It'll be fall down? That's why they put the kickstand there. Thank you, Raphael. Yeah, we're waiting for the Cinebench 2024. Okay. Not a bad live stream. I mean, I got a pretty decent turnout. I wasn't expecting a lot right now. So, 60 of you watching. Now, according to the website, a Type 4 USB-C cable should work with the secondary display. That's probably why. I have a Thunderbolt cable here somewhere. Let me see if I could find one. I'll be right back. All right, so I got a couple of different ones here. I got one from that espresso display, but I don't know if that's going to work. But this one, this is a Thunderbolt 3 cable right here. So let me see if I can get DeX working on this secondary monitor. So if I connect it here, okay, and then we put it into that secondary slot here, or that USB slot. So this is a Thunderbolt cable. Now this is, yeah, I don't see it even going to that. So I don't know how that, oh, maybe. Something's happening. Yeah, it's connected. Look at that. So there's DeX. Let me see if you can see DeX like that. Let's see. Now, maybe, let's see. So it says it's, yeah, there it is. It's connected to an external display. Let's see if you can see it there. Let's see. Why does it go off? There, it wants to connect. Maybe this is not in all the way. It says disconnected. So let me reconnect that. Now it's connected. And there, and let's see, it just lit up. See if we get DeX going. And there is DeX. And there went DeX. So I don't know if it's the cable or what's going on. Maybe it's the case that's, maybe I should take it out of the case. Let's see. Almost there. Let's try it again. Let me put my thumbprint. So let's see. There it is. Yeah, I think it was the cable. I think this case was the culprit. So there's DeX. So I can use this as a touchpad, right? Let's see. Let's see. I forgot how to work this. Hold on. We don't want that. I have so many notifications in the way. So let me get rid of those. How do I use it? I forgot. Oh yeah, here it is. Use your phone. There we go. And there it is. So if I actually put it up here, oops. See, this is why you need the kickstand. Okay. So here it is. And let me try to give you an angle. Sort of can't see it. See, the only way is this way. So let's go back over that way. All right. So there it is. And there's DeX. It's hard for me to do it while it's not facing me. So let me see if I go like this. Sort of weird. There we go. Let's just keep it like that. What do you say? All right. And I have the trackpad here. And if I want to do something on DeX, it should be working, but I can't see it. So anyway, it's awkward for me to try to use it. But yes, this works as a secondary monitor. Let me see if I can put it in tablet mode and then go like that. And then, yeah, why did you see there's so many permutations of this? I can just do this. why didn't I think of that earlier? Now okay, so so how do I find my mouse here? Okay, there's the mouse. Okay. And I found it. And if I want to go to the internet, I can go to the internet. Is this a touchscreen also? Yes, it is. Not now. And here we go. AMD Tech Reviews.com. Here I am. So this is a secondary monitor. I'm using DeX, and that's working. So you have yourself a nice little monitor. Now, if I want to put it into the stand mode or presentation mode like this, you can use it. And then it's a touchscreen, and it works pretty good. So we figured it out. It's the cable. It has to be a Thunderbolt type cable, USB 4 cable. So you just can't use the run-of-the-mill that it came with. The charge, that's not good enough. You need to have this is Thunderbolt 3, and it's working perfectly. So, and I actually like it. Pinch to zoom works. So I like having the touch. Now, let's see if the pen works. Yeah, and you have pen support on that secondary monitor. So you don't need to have this on. You can just use this as a secondary monitor. So that's one of the benefits of this. So pretty cool. So it works. All right. So that's that. And then you could just put it like that and have it. You could have somebody playing a game while you're doing something else. I mean, it is weird in some ways, but it works. It works. So you can do all these things here. See? Is it upside down? I think it is. It didn't go over. Did it move? It should move now. Let's see. Let's see if it goes back on. Yeah, see? There it goes. All right, man, take it easy. And I thank you so much, Tech Tony, for coming by. All right, so while that's doing all that, while we're having fun with that, let's find the Cinebench, and we'll probably end it at that point. So okay, so let me go to the downloads, Cinebench 2024. And we'll just get a multi-core score. Again, we're going to get good performance out of this. So, all right. So we don't need those instructions for now. Pretty cool. Now that we got it working. All right. So let me accept that. All right. So let me turn off. Let me do use my finger for this one. Okay. So let's just turn that off and let's do the multi-core. So I hear the fans going. Definitely hear the fans. And it's cool. I can actually, I can play a game on this one while this is going on. I can surf the internet on DeX or have my Steam Deck or whatever. And this is working. This is pretty cool. Just a matter of getting used to all the features. It's not bad. Right now, I'm going to put the kickstand out because I don't trust this. So we'll see. See, I have the DeX over here. I've got Windows over here. So is this the only way to use the second screen with the Thunderbolt 4 cable? I wonder if it could connect wireless like Bluetooth, so you don't need to have any cables. I don't know. Maybe if you can connect wirelessly, maybe. Potentially you can do that. Yes, it does have a webcam. The webcam is right there. Let's get well, we probably shouldn't be doing this during running the benchmark. So let's get the multi-core. Let's get the webcam. We already heard the sound a little bit. So we'll go from there. And what did you think of the X1 Carbon Gen 13? Let me know. I'm curious. Now that we have everybody here. Looks like people are still watching it. We have almost 13 or 14,000 views, 24 hours or so. So not too bad. We also did the live unboxing. That's about 12,000 views. So not bad. Looks like people like to think, but they always do well on my channel, though. They always do well. Or did you not like the ThinkPad? Let me know. It's one of my favorites for the year, by the way. And if it came out earlier, I would have included it, this particular version, in the best of 2024. So let's get a listen to the fans going here, and I'm going to bring out my thermal camera as well. Then we'll look at the actual webcam. So let's get a listen to the thermals here. All right, that is pretty loud, 61 decibels. So definitely noticeable. But that's, again, we're pushing all the cores. Now, let me get out my thermal camera here. I'm going to have to unconnect the decks because I need to use this S24 Ultra for that. I'll let the camera load in. So the keyboard is staying pretty cool around this area. The heating vent is about 42 where the venting is. So this is pretty good. Now, what I'm curious about is the underside. So let me unplug that. Okay, so there's the underside. So this is 56 right there. This is pretty cool here. There are two fans there. Yeah, so not too hot, actually. So pretty good. It is a little bit loud, the fans. Okay. Yeah, I agree, Michael. How you doing? I agree. I think this is perfect for an engineer. I think it's good for a programmer. This is the kind of, I think this is who they're focusing towards, that segment. Wow, look at that multi-core score, 1180. That's pretty good, actually. And I haven't even updated everything, and I was doing all sorts of stuff as well. So pretty good. Let's run the single core. Why not? While that's doing that. So pretty good. 1180 is a very good score. AR Tech Reviews says the ThinkPad is nice, but I just can't do the small display. I've got to have a 16-inch. I was thinking about what if they made a 16-inch version of that with that lightweight material that they're using for the X1 Carbon, the Gen 13, but just put a 16-inch display. That would be kind of cool, actually. So it would be pretty good. So far, performance on this is really amazing. Really good. Really good. So you have to use this Thunderbolt cable to get use of that secondary display as a secondary monitor. Question from William. Does the keyboard have a useless Copilot key? It does not. So those of you should be pretty happy that this does not have the Copilot key, which would have been there. They do have two control keys, by the way. Now it is collecting fingerprints. I've noticed that so far. We'll take a look at the camera in a little bit. Actually, let's just bring the camera up now. Okay. So this is the camera. So let me see if I can put this on that other. Yeah, we can. Okay. So let me put it there. All right. So this is the camera, and you're going to have to sort of adjust it because it's like, yeah, it's in the normal place because it is on the top over there. So 2.5K camera here. Let me see the settings. So let's go to the settings here. So video settings. So right now it's on 1080p, 16:9, 30 frames per second. You can go to 1440p. This is 1440p. And there it is. If one screen is folded, is one screen? No, there's no, you can actually cover everything up where they're both protected. I don't want to do it now because I'll ruin my benchmark here. But this is the camera. Camera looks okay according to William. Where can this unit be purchased? Looks interesting. AR, I left a link for Amazon. There is a little bit of an upcharge on there. If you order from Indiegogo, I think it is cheaper, but you do get the benefit of the returns from Amazon in case something goes wrong. That's why I did it. I'm not even sure I'm keeping it, but I might. I don't know. But again, I have the Amazon as a backup here. So we'll see. So that's the camera. I think it looks okay. So pretty good. Let me close that. Okay. All right. So that's the camera. Let me close that. Boom. Close window. And the pen works on that both displays. You got it. So is this even working? Oh, I didn't start the single core. You know what? I'm going to save the single core for the video. Well, actually, let's just start it. Screw it. Okay. So now it's started. Okay. All right. So for those asking, I know somebody was asking it earlier. When you close it up, it goes like this, and then you fold it down, and they're both there. You get the outer cover, so you don't get anything. Any of the displays, they're not exposed, is what I'm trying to say in my own weird way. So, but I love this Dex mode. Like I love the fact that I can just put this and have a secondary device. So let me take off the case because the case was in the way. That was why I don't think that's why it didn't connect properly. And so if I do this, I have Dex on there. Let's see if it comes on. Yep, there it is. And then if I do this, oh, this is interesting. So you can put this up like this, and that gives it a little bit more support as well, sort of. Yeah. So you can put it like into this, like a presentation mode. So, and this is and this works. The touch works. Everything works. So if I want to use pen, I can use pen. There. Or I can move this around. Pretty cool. I like it. So pretty cool. All right. I don't even know anybody still watching. I don't even know if anybody's still watching. I'm sure they are. Yeah, we do have 50 of you. Not bad. I don't know. These kind of videos with this kind of stuff, where they're new kind of stuff, is kind of hard to do a live stream on, but you stuck with it. So I do appreciate that. Is there anything else you want me to show you while we're waiting for this single core score? Just trying to think what else we can connect to. So I have other laptops here. Yeah, I mean, it's a secondary device. It's a secondary screen. All right. And if I put that down, yeah, I think the camera's pretty good, Raphael. And I agree, Michael. It definitely is good for a web designer. Loving my X1 Gen 13 so far, but OLED display died. They're sending you a replacement. Oh no, that sucks. Why did it die? Not good. ThinkPad is nice. Yes, when they are folded, the screens are protected. Yes. You can try connecting your Mac. Yeah, I could do that. So this is the MacBook Pro with the M4 Max here. So let's unplug this. And let's open the Mac. Let's see, with it closed, what happens. Let's see, the Mac is not even open right now. So let's see. Let's see. Can't see anything because I have to put it like this. Let's see. All right, so let's turn the Mac on here. Okay. So let's see. Actually, let me unplug that. All right, so this is the Mac here. Let's see what happens. So if I go to display, let me go to the settings here. Doesn't even see it. Let's see if it sees it even. I don't see showing here. MacBook display port. Yeah, that should be it. Hold on. Let me unplug this. We plug it back in. Okay, there we go. And there it is. Allow it. Yes. So there it is. So if I go here, and guess what? I'm using this as a secondary display. And does it support touch? And if you want to add pen support to the Mac, you can. This works, sort of. But that's how, I guess it would need drivers, right? So if I want to go to my website, let's see. So the touch, the fingerprint, the fingers, with my fingers it doesn't work, but the pen works. But I can't scroll or do anything. So I'm thinking it needs drivers or something. You know what I mean? To have that do that. So now I'm just using that. So you said the laptop started with normally, but no display connected to TV and can see everything normal, but the laptop doesn't. Yeah, so it could be a faulty display. So, well, they're going to send you a new one, right? So that's good in that regard. But you shouldn't have to have that right off the bat, especially such an expensive product. So I like this as bringing, so if I want to bring this with the Mac, although everything's getting heavy, 16-inch MacBook Pro, this is going to be 5 pounds. This is like 4 and change or whatever. It can get heavy. This is a heavy setup, but what a powerful setup. If you think about it, because right now the Mac is powering the secondary display. I'm not even plugged in on the Mac, and it's working. Now the pen works, but it shows the cursor, but it doesn't do anything. So I think that's more the Mac OS than anything. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. And that is that. So that works out pretty well. So MacBook Pro M4 Max with this GPD Duo. Okay. So that's the MacBook. So it's pretty handy. I mean, you got to have a good cable for it. For those people who have a Mac Mini, might want to use this secondary display in the Mac Mini. Another option for this. That is not a bad idea, actually, William. So that's not a bad idea. So as a tablet, it's pretty heavy. I will say this is pretty heavy. So let's see if this switches over. Is there an accelerometer? It should be. All right. So I don't know if this is going to rotate. Oh, you know what I think? Hold on. Hold on. So I think to use this secondary, let me see if this, here we go. Yeah, because it was, let me move this to the secondary display. Okay, so if I put it there, yeah, the pen works on there. Finger works. Everything's working now. Everything seems to be working. So pretty good. This score is not going to be indicative of what it should be because I unplugged it, but let's see what happens when I plug it back in. I don't think we're going to get the actual score on that single core because I've been playing around with other stuff. We got 1180 on the multi-core. For some reason, never have video on in the monitor. Laptops never have video in on the monitor. Well, we have it here. So this is something unique. This is a lot of fun, by the way, doing all this. So new one on the way, and you still love it. Yeah, I'm loving it. The X1 Carbon Gen 13, they hit a home run. They got it under a kilogram. They put a gorgeous OLED display, 120 hertz, great battery life. I mean, they just improved in every way. And the keyboard's still great. I still love the keyboard on that. So what they didn't sacrifice the build or the keyboard. I know some of the comments people were saying, well, you sacrificed something to get the weight down. Not really. I think they kept it pretty consistent and were able to shave the weight off. So it's almost like having an X1 Nano with a 14-inch display. So Yoga Slim 7X, $800, or the ZenBook 14, $700. That's a tough one. The Slim 7X, you mean the one with the Snapdragon or the ZenBook 14? That's a tough one. It depends, right? Do you have any issues with compatibility? Because if you stick with the basics, you'll be fine with that Slim 7X, although the ZenBook 14 was great. I think it's a toss-up. Sounds like a cop-out, but those are tough. When people ask me which one should you get, I use my laptop probably differently than some other person, so it's hard to say. It's very subjective. So, who knows? All right, I'm liking this more now that I got that secondary display working, and it was the cable. It was this. So I'm really liking this much more now. This is one interesting device. It is heavier than I thought, but I can see me taking this to something like CES and using it. Now, connecting to a Switch or other handheld device would be fun. Yeah, I probably should go upstairs. I have the Legion Go here. Can go from work to play, especially for a longer plane trip. Yeah. Oh, 80 watt-hour battery. We showed it in the specs earlier. So hopefully, AMD processor, the Ryzen AI, has been pretty efficient. So I'm hoping we'll get some pretty good battery life. My guess is if you turn off the secondary display, you should be fine on the battery. I think having both of them on full blast, obviously, you're going to use more battery. But yeah, I can see this doing well. Right now, it's showing 110 over here. So we'll see what the final score will be as far as single core. But yeah, I agree, Michael. I think this is going to be a use case where secondary display will be great for like a handheld gaming thing, for a secondary monitor, a bigger monitor. For coders, having two displays are going to be a big boon. How about day traders having the two displays? Obviously, that's a natural right there. It's a very interesting device, Raphael. I agree. I'm liking it. I was so excited about this one. again, it's very hard for me as a tech reviewer, especially that focuses on laptops. I'm going to do more phones, by the way. But for someone who focuses on laptops, it's hard for me to get excited. I think this is better than the side-by-side ones. Don't have to have the wide space, less intrusive. If you're in an airplane, I think this is better, right? Because it's vertical. So, it's stacked on one on the other instead of, again, both of them being on the same, taking up a wider space. Yeah, and I guess you could connect to a Steam Deck. I don't have a Steam Deck. I do have the Legion Go here. And I don't know, can we connect an Ally X? Although I don't know if that has an output for, yeah, I guess you could, right? I don't see why you couldn't. It has USB on there. I think it does support display out, so it should work on this. Now, the one thing I will say about these displays, they're 60 hertz. I would have liked to have seen, especially at this price point, 120 hertz. Not a huge deal, especially for the target audience that this is going for, but it would have been great. All right, we're almost there for this score. Could be good if you're in a game streamer in theory. I guess so. And one thing I will say, the performance here has been very good. The numbers have been very good. If Santa was real, what laptop would you want under the tree? Do I have it here? Maybe. I mean, in my dreams, this was my dream laptop on paper, right? Now that I have it, they did a pretty good job here. I got to give my credit to GPD. It is a very niche device. I think you all know that. But for that audience, it's got everything you want. Ports are going to be great on this, right? Oculink, USB 4, full-size SD card reader, USB 4, USB-A, gigabit, 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. I mean, it has everything. Raspberry Pi would be great too. Can take advantage of the SD card reader on the laptop and go right into displaying on the second screen. That's interesting also. That's a good use case scenario. I want to switch to the ZenBook 16 from S16 from the HP Spectre, even though HP's new BIOS did improve performance. Yeah, that ZenBook S16 was gorgeous. And I like it with the Strix point. A Mac with two displays. Well, we already had that, sort of, when we used it connected to the secondary display. Imagine a Mac with these two. That would be interesting. But Apple would never release a device like this. But you never say never. But, they would never release this, especially with touch or anything like that. All right, we got our score. So single core, 114, and I was doing all kinds of shenanigans. So pretty good single core, very good multi-core, 1180. So very impressive performance. AMD Ryzen AI 9 HX 370, Radeon 890M. So pretty good so far. In fact, let me load up. So let me take a screenshot of that. And let me close all these windows here. Let me load up Geekbench again, because I want to test the GPU. So performance is pretty impressive. Looks like people are really watching that X1 Carbon video, as it's still getting good amount of views 24 hours in, or more than 24, almost 40, 20 hours or whatever in. No, like 18 hours. All right, so Strix point here. All right, so let's do the OpenCL. Maybe we'll do the Vulkan also. 890M Radeon graphics, which have been impressive so far. So you're going to be able to game on this. There are a couple of ways to do it. The 890M is very capable. Just play with the settings. But I think if you really are serious, get a Oculink supported eGPU or USB 4. It can do both. And you have that. You have the Oculink port here. Remember, the roots of GPD are gaming, right? So they definitely know how to do that. And they have their own eGPU that they were offering. So there's an Indiegogo campaign. When we're done, I'll put the link in the description below. The Indiegogo, I think they had one with their eGPU as a bundle, I think. So maybe you want to check that out. So this with a Snapdragon X Elite would be nice for making it lighter and better battery life, especially if you could run an Android in tablet mode. Yeah. So I was able, Michael, to run my DeX from my S24 Ultra here. So on that secondary monitor, and I love that. That to me, that I like. That's a good use case scenario for me. So that's interesting. So we'll see. All right, we're going to get our score here, 37,392. That's a good score, by the way. Take our screenshot. And then let's do the Vulkan score. Round that out. So pretty interesting device. Does antivirus software added with the PC coming with Apple ecosystem? So no clue. I haven't seen anything from McAfee or Norton or anything like that. No crapware. So far, looks pretty clean. Looking at the website, 64 gigabytes, 2 terabytes is only about a little over 200 more than the 32 gigabytes. If one is spending this much, you might as well go for the, and I agree, by the way. The only reason I didn't go for that is because first, I don't know if I'm keeping it, which I could have, probably doesn't matter. And number two, I'm going to add my own storage. If I do wind up keeping it, I'm going to be upgrading the storage myself. So, and I think, don't quote me on this, I think there are 2 M.2 slots in this, but I could be wrong. Any PWM concerns? Yes. Anytime you have OLED, yes, we'll test for PWM. But again, I'm not sensitive to PWM, but I know some of you are. So again, we need to point that out. So pretty interesting device, to say the least. This is definitely going longer than I thought, as we have 88 of you watching, it looks like. Who knows what the real number is, because it changes depends where you're looking. 40,905 for the Vulkan score for the GPD Duo. Let me take a screenshot of that. All right, so we got all that done. Is there anything else? Because I'm getting a little bit tired. We're almost at 2 hours, and I have more testing to do. But this is the GPD the GPD Duo. You could also get 64 gigabytes instead of 32. So 64, I don't need 64 personally on a device. I mean, 32 is fine for me, but I know some people will want and I like the fact that they're offering 64. By the way, you're not getting that offered on the X1 Carbon because of the chipset they're using. I was also thinking the other day when I was testing the X1 Carbon, how good would that X1 Carbon be with this processor, the Strix Point? Now, I don't know if the battery life would be as good, but holy smokes, with that GPU, integrated GPU, with the integrated GPU, that the 890M, with the Strix Point, whew, but I don't think we'll see it. Yeah, it is 2 M.2 slots. So I'm actually thinking of putting two Samsung SSDs in this. Nice that they put the fingerprint scanner on the side so you don't have to open it to log in. One thing that bothers me with some 2-in-1 360. Yeah, that's a good point, Michael. How many years do you recommend extended warranty or not? I never get them, but that's just me. I'm a cheapskate, but it just depends how long do you use a product for, a device for. So, but I never really spring for it because I'm too cheap. But that's just me. Don't go by me. Battery life may not be the highest priority for those buying this. I don't know. It's got an 80 watt-hour battery. It's pretty thick in terms of heaviness. So they were able to put a nice size battery. But, if you're going to use both these OLED displays in full blast, you're going to use more battery. And it just depends what you're doing. So now they're pretty quiet. We're not doing anything, and the fan noise has calmed down there. Battery life may not be the highest priority. That's the bottom line. All right. So I think 85 is with everybody watching. So we're not only streaming on YouTube, but we're also streaming on other platforms, Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter's X. We're streaming on Facebook. So there are some reasons why that would say 83, and then it would see 62 there. So that makes sense. All right. Anything else? We're now approaching an hour and 51 minutes, so we are going to probably wrap it up here. So sound was pretty good overall. The displays are excellent. There is a a switch here, a brightness switch, so that solved that problem. This solved the other problem using this as a secondary display, this top one. You want to make sure you have a Thunderbolt cable. I was able to use a Thunderbolt 3 cable, so you probably can pick one up pretty cheap, I would imagine, at this point. Anyway, do both respond? So no, that is the one difference, Michael, than we saw in the Yoga Book 9i, and I think the ZenBook Duo. They don't have any software where it lets you to do individual and both. You know, they give you a lot of control on those. Here, you have to control the top one with this rocker over here. So I can bring the brightness down, and you can see it there, sort of. And that's it with it all the way down. And then, of course, I can bring it all the way back up. And I'll test the display on both of these. Now, they're essentially the same display from the specs, but of course, this one is can be used as a secondary display for another device. So that is pretty bright. But of course, I'm blowing out the camera a little bit, but it's a pretty bright display. Now, when you're all said and done and you want to wrap everything up, this is how it just closes up. The screens fold into each other, and it is protected, so you don't have to worry about the display being exposed in any way. So pretty heavy, and I'm sure you can feel this pretty much in your bag. You will feel this. This is pretty heavy. So this is the GPD Duo, folks. All right, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. If you're watching the replay, let me know. But I appreciate everybody who did a super chat today, everybody who contributed via the comments. Of course, great questions, great comments. Once again, thank you to the moderators. I'll see everybody next time. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you very soon. We got a lot of exciting stuff. Take care, everybody. Oh, before we go, we have one more super chat. We didn't hit the 5, by the way. So we have one more super chat, and I'm going to go out on a high note with Rob's super chat here. Coming in late, but what is the best light and mobile computer for people who don't care about gaming performance but want to have a high-end budget? Check out the X1 Carbon Gen 13, my friend. You came just in time. That's my favorite for that super light category. Under a kilogram, OLED display, 120 hertz. I absolutely love it. Great mobile computer, great battery life. And if you wait to the 2025, you can get it with the Samsung. You can get it with the Sensal haptic touchpad. What am I saying, Samsung? Sensal haptic touchpad, 4G option as well. 5G, I should say, 5G option. All right, what's the included brick look like? We'll never get done tonight. This is what it looks like. 100-watt power brick. Comes with this white charging cable right there. This purple one came with the espresso display. We'll talk about that separately. But this is the charging brick, for those wondering. So it's a pretty hefty package altogether. Thank you, Rob. Thanks, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever you want to celebrate. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.